Welcome, everyone, to another Crimson Debate. This time, our topic is going to be, should these certain cards come off of the ban list or restricted list, however you want to say it. So the basic idea is that the meta has changed. The meta is always usually continuously evolving as each set comes out. Each set impacts the metagame. And now, as far as the Japanese releases go, now we are at the point of Silverdust Blaze, which we are seeing with some of the meta results and stuff that Messiah and Overlord the Cross are just doing absolutely amazing, along with Susanoo actually isn't doing quite bad as well. So the thought process here is, should these cards come off the list? Now, we're not going to be talking about hard leg for DI. We're not going to be talking about I think it's Violence Flanger for Grand Blue, because those were cards that were put on the restricted list specifically to affect Shahrat and Night Rose support. So future-proofing. They're future-proofing that set so that they don't do absolutely ridiculous things. And we've seen, because of the Shahrat release, we've seen how damaging hard leg would have been if it would have stayed around. So we'll obviously see when Night Rose is debuted. We'll see why Violence Flanger needed to get the boot as well. But we're specifically talking about 4 cards in particular. And we're going to pass it to our panel here. Today we've got with us Dekin, and we have Zach with us as well. And we're going to be talking about these 4 cards. The first card we're going to bring up is a Murakumo card, and it is Fantasy Petal Storm Shirayuki, the grade 3. I think everybody knows what Shirayuki is, but we're going to go over the skill just as a refresher for us and as a refresher for you, the audience, as well. So the skill is obviously grade 3, Excel 12K body, auto, Vanguard, Rear Guard, and Guardian Circle. When placed, Soul Blast 2 cards, choose 3 units in your opponent's front row, and they get minus 5k power until end of turn. If this unit is on Vanguard or Guardian Circle, they get minus 10k instead of the 5k. It also has an auto Vanguard Circle. When its attack does not hit, return a Fantasy Petal Storm Shirayuki from your drop zone to your hand. So we're obviously seeing that more often than not, Murakumo players would be using this for the Vanguard or Guardian Circle, so they can neg 10k. And then the obvious ability to be able to recycle itself along with some of the other cards that are able to search it out and recycle it. So I'm going to kick it over to Dekin. What do you think about Shirayuki? Should it come off of the list? Should it? Right now, it is restricted as a one of.
I think that it's fine where it's at. I think they shouldn't bring it back for multiple reasons. One of them is, in my opinion at least, new Yasuye. If you have it on rear guard, you can just spam call copies of it and continuously neg. So I think it's deserved where it's at, and if they brought it back at even 2 of, because they have Shirayuki herself that can fetch herself back, and they have the grade 1 and 2 that can fetch herself back. So it's still more than a one of in any Murakumo deck. But I think it's deserved where it's at now, and it should not be brought back under any circumstances.
Zach, what do you think? Shirayuki.
I actually have to agree, just simply because of Yasuie and Tenma that have been revealed. So far, what we're looking at from the reveals that they have is that the deck as a whole seems to be pretty low in numbers. And so I thought about it at first, then I said, okay, well, in order to make it so they seem bigger, maybe increase Hirayuki. But then Deacon just pointed out, in fact, they can spam call him. And immediately to me, that's a no. Because even if it's just a minus of 5K to 3 units, as long as they can do it twice, that is the 10K right there, as well as 2 attackers. So yeah, no, I definitely agree with Deacon.
I would like to say too, I actually do agree with you guys as well. Shirayuki probably should stay on the restricted list. Especially, the ability to neg 10K from your opponent, either defensively or offensively, is just a little too much, especially, with Murakumo's ability to be able to search it out, be able to, they can get it. It's going to happen. It's not like it's a Tecton card that it's possibly that it could go off. It could happen. It's going to happen. And it's going to happen multiple times. And it's going to happen very, very easily. So that's my problem with it. I completely agree with you guys. So it seems that we're all in agreement here that Shirayuki should stay on the restricted list.
Yeah, literally the way around it is if they take it as damage and can't heal it.
So it is restricted at 1. We think it should be stayed restricted at 1. All right, so the next one up is another grade 3. This time, Tachikaze. And this is the grade 3 Thundering Sword Dragon Anger Blader. Grade 3 XL, 12K body. Skill is Act, Vanguard Circle. Put a rear guard face down as an equip gauge for another rear guard. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Auto Vanguard Circle. When it attacks, Counterblast 1. Stand 3 of your rear guards with 3 or more equip gauges, and all of your front row units get power plus 5K until end of turn. All right, so that is it. What do you guys think? Zach, I'm going to go with you first this time. What do you think about Anger Blader? Right now, it is, again, restricted as a 1-of.
This is where I actually kind of want to say that maybe it can come back. Right now, if we're talking about the Silverdust Blaze set, we're looking at the probably two top dogs of the deck, or of that set, are going to be Messiah, big numbers, that multi-attack card, as well as Overlord, which is 3 Vanguard attacks and probably 1, maybe 2 large rearguard attacks, with consistent crits and consistent drive checks, and just overall both decks seem to be very consistent. My argument is that Tachikaze is not, for the most part. In the past, when it was doing very, very well, it was considered to be Exodia, the deck, in Vanguard. But that was because back then shield value was a little lowered. Plussing was a little lower. Obviously now we have decks that plus hard, multi-attack hard, and I feel like it wouldn't be as dangerous. It would be more like on the same level if it drew perfectly. But I wouldn't know as well, because I've never actually played the deck. I've also never seen it in action against any other deck because obviously of the restriction it has. But that's just my opinion.
Okay. Deacon, what are your thoughts about Anger Blader?
I agree and disagree with Zach. I agree in the standpoint of these decks, they hit and they hit hard. We're seeing a lot of the newer decks be able to kill on the first grade 3 ride, which is quite ridiculous in my opinion. But I mean, is what it is. And this deck had that potential, but yeah, it had to have the Exodia hand to do so. The only problem is it's also a cell, so it has the plus engine to reach that Exodia hand. So my opinion is I would wait until they get their new set of support to make a decision. Because if they bring it back now and then the new Gaia Emperor works insanely well with it, and Anger Blader 2.0 and just is, oh, I have a grade 3, I kill everything, I win, then it's going to be a problem. It's going to be right back in the same situation. So I think they should wait until that's set, and if the deck doesn't do anything and just absolute garbage, then I would say, yeah, bring it back. At that point, it would be deserved to be.
Okay. My own thoughts on the matter too are, I think it should come back. I did play the deck, though, so I'm a little biased. The deck had to, a lot of things had to go right for that deck to kind of be able to go off and first turn kill. It can happen. It could happen for sure. The biggest thing that I would say that why I think it should come back is that, yes, we are seeing a lot of decks that can, kind of first turn kill, as long as your opponent doesn't have a whole crap ton of shield value in hand. But these decks are able to first turn kill. Anger Blader is able to first turn kill as well. The thing that separates that from Messiah and the Cross is that, again, a lot of those things has to go right in order for Anger Blader to actually do that. You have to draw into the right pieces that actually gain plus power, and that gain plus power for the equip gauges. You have to have cards that can do multiple things to create equip gauges. A lot of things have to go right for that to happen. And the other thing that I would say too of why I think it should come back as well is, even if, let's say, on an Anger Blader turn, I go through and I have the Exodia stuff, I do all of these things, but if you survive, usually at me as the Anger Blader player, I am in such a bad spot because I had to have quite a few CBs in order to go through the turn. I had to dedicate a lot of my hand in order to try to do this kill turn. A lot of the times I'm left with a very, very small hand. So I believe that any deck that it was able to survive that Anger Blader turn will just absolutely murder Anger Blader then and there. Especially Messiah, especially the Cross, especially Susanoo, especially MLB, especially Blade Master, the top 5 decks of the meta. I don't think that Anger Blader coming back as a 4-of would impact that meta game. It would just be another deck adding to another deck that could actually kind of compete. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the matter. So I think it should come off. Zach, you think it should come off. Deacon, you're kind of more in the middle.
Yeah, I wait and see what happens before saying you're resurrected.
All right. Okay, so that's it for Anger Blader. Now moving on to another card, which is from Dragon Empire as well. You're seeing a trend here. I like that.
Yeah.
So this is a card from Narukami. This is a grade 2, 9K body, and its name is Fiendish Sword Eradicator Cho-O. Everybody is familiar with this card. Its skill is auto Vanguard and Rearguard Circle. When placed, Counterblast 1, choose a column, bind one of your opponent's front row rear guards in that column, and move up to one back row rear guard in that column to front row rear guard circle. Second ability is auto rear guard circle once per turn. At the end of battle, your Vanguard attacked. If your opponent's front row has no rear guards, cost Counterblast 1, stand this unit. So not only Narukami already is able to multi-attack because of Excel. And then we saw it do more so with Vanquisher because of the abilities to bind and stuff during battle. So you were seeing that binding and stuff during battle and calling back. Not only was Rising Phoenix able to call back beforehand, but now you have a card, that grade 1, I can't remember its name, the grade 1 that's able to call back, and then you also have Chatura being the biggest one there. Not only does Chatura gain power, and but it's able, for being called back, it gains power, but also on hit and stuff, you're able to draw. So, Cho-O is another battle extender. Cho-O is able to restand and continue the onslaught of that turn, and the ability as well of being able to possibly somewhat nuke a column is pretty powerful as well. So this card was limited down to 2. It's now at 2 copies. Do we think it needs to go to a 3-0 to a 4-0? What are your thoughts, Zach?
Absolutely not.
Now remember that at this point we are talking about Silverdust Blaze meta.
All
so
right, yeah,
this
all right.
Vanquisher is even in the top 5.
Then, all right, at that point, probably it would be fine. Me personally, I have my own biases because the damn deck is just too good. The fact that he can counterblast 1 on place, bind a front row rear guard, then push it back forward, the back row forward, and then that obviously allows them to continue their binding abilities through other units. And then the fact that Vanquisher gives it 10k and it can just freestand at 19, 24, and bigger if you have triggers or boosters. But unfortunately, I do have to say, yeah, it's fallen pretty hard. After Silverdust Blaze, it is looking to be at like number 5, I believe. And so maybe, possibly, it might be okay to revive that piece of garbage grade 2. Maybe. Maybe.
Jesus. Let me drop my tablet.
You're welcome. But that's my opinion on the matter.
All right, Deacon, what are your thoughts?
No. Reason being, we are starting to see more, the future sets, we're starting to see more Excel decks start to get support. If those Excel decks get good support, Vanquisher will be good again. There's no debating whether it will or not, because if Excel is good, Narukami will be good because it has the ability to splash in Gauntlet Busters. And hell, even Vanquisher did what Gauntlet Buster could do, except you plus while doing it. So I don't think it needs to be revived. 2 of is perfectly fine. Just because, yes, it did drop off with the Silverdust Blaze set, but deservedly so. Standing from the deck as a whole is fine without this card. There are some people that will play it at a Tecton 1 of or just not play it at all if they feel like it. But I think it's fine at the 2 of. I don't think it needs to come back, especially with the inevitability of it getting future support.
Okay. My thoughts on the matter are, I think it's fine. I think it should come back. Especially, again, we are talking the Silverdust Blaze meta. I think it should go back. It's not even in the top 5. If I remember correctly, actually, I have it right here. Let me check and see where its standings are. Give me just a second here. I apologize. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is number 7 in the meta. Number 7 in the meta. So, yeah, man. Like, I just say, bring it back. Why not? You know, yeah, I am a little afraid of. I will say I am a little afraid of what they give to Narukami in the future, but I can't judge it off of that. I gotta say I can't automatically just say no, don't do it because Narukami might get more dangerous stuff again. I can't say that. I gotta say based off of what it has right now, based off of the Vanquisher support, and based off of what the meta is right now, I gotta say why not? It is a battle extender, stuff like that. It might even, if they brought Cho-Oh back as a 4 of, maybe that would be enough for Vanquisher to kind of push ahead a little bit, maybe get to that 6th or 5th spot even, remain in the top 5 so it doesn't just become automatically dead. But yeah, I don't know. I think personally, why not? You know. If we do see that Narukami is going to get support again, like if they announce like another set and Narukami is going to get support again, and they are going to give Narukami another good card, then I think that would be something that we would want to tackle then and there. Maybe future proof as well. Future proof it just before that set's about to drop, kind of like they did with Hard Leg and Violence Flanger for DI and for Grand Blue. But in the meantime, why not? That's just my thoughts on it. Okay, and then the last one that we are going to discuss, which is the most interesting, I will say. It was not actually restricted. It was errated. So we're gonna read the skill, and then I'm gonna let you know too what its original skill was as well. But the card that was errated and the card that we're gonna be talking about right now, should it come off of the list, is a Bermuda card, and it is Top Idol Riviere. I was half expecting both of you to yell no already. So it is a grade 3 force, 13k body. Its skill is Auto Vanguard Circle. When placed, Counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand and draw 2 cards. Auto Vanguard Circle, at the end of the battle it attacked, cost, discard 2 cards from your hand, write up to 1 card with Riviere and its card name from your hand as stand, and that unit gets drive -1 until end of turn. This ability may only be used by a card with the same card name once a turn. Okay, so that is the errata. Literally that last sentence. So the original ability was you were able to, after attack, discard 2 and ride another Riviere, any card named Riviere, as stand from your hand, and it gets drive -1. That was originally what it was. The new errata ability is you can only use a card with the same card name once per turn. So it's by doing that errata, they severely nerfed Riviere. It's still not bad. It's still not the deck still isn't bad by any means. It's just it's not broken like it was, because they were able to go into a Riviere, go into this top battle Riviere. They were able to plus, and they were able to basically the idea is just to thin and try to get as many Rivieres as possible, and then you would go into another top battle Riviere, and then you would do the skill again. You would do another force marker. You would do it's placed again. So if you could counterblast and discard, you could draw another 2 cards and possibly deck thin and possibly try to get to more Rivieres. So you can keep spamming this skill. And especially because the skill to be able to go into Superior Ride into another Riviere is not a counterblast. It's just dropping cards. So it's quite interesting. But again, now that we're seeing some of the results and stuff from Silverdust Blaze, we're seeing Messiah being able to multi-attack and just get to absolutely ridiculous numbers right off the bat. And we're seeing Overlord, we're seeing the Cross be able to go in with Force 2 and kill your opponent while they're on grade 2 possibly. We're able to see basically what this deck was doing, but in just kind of sort of different forms. What are your thoughts on it, Deacon, with Top Idol Riviere? Should it come back, or I guess I shouldn't say should it come back, should it go back to its original card skill?
With a lot of thinking and a heavy heart, I say it should. Reason being, you now have Cross, ML, Messiah, you got Susanoo, and hell, even Blade Master, the top 5, they can go off right off the bat, go off hard. Messiah and the Cross more so than the rest, as we're seeing, because they are clearly the better decks from this set. But it is slightly hypocritical that they wouldn't bring it back because they're now giving other cards roughly similar abilities. But at the same time, it deserved to be hit for the time because it was the only playable deck. Now, with there being so many force decks that are viable, I don't see it being a problem that it comes back to combat against force decks. So it's not just Messiah and Overlord ranting and raving and being the best decks in the format. Now they're kept in check by Riviere, but still beat a lot of other stuff. I think that would be something that would be okay. And that is hoping that they didn't have planned another Bermuda set. If that's the case, then we don't have to worry about keeping anything in check. It'll come out and be the best deck. That's my opinion.
Zach, what are your thoughts? Top out of Riviere. Should it go back to its original card text?
It's kind of a hard one. It's pretty tricky actually, just because I mean, like you mentioned, the fact that its play style is actually pretty similar. It's got similarities to how, especially, the end plays with multi-attacking Vanguard. The only difference that I see, though, is that it spams the force markers, so that's immediately more power automatically. And then on top of that, it's immediately the drawing 2 ability, which fuels its cost right there. With the Cross, you every turn, roughly, I'm pretty sure it's dropping of 4 cards each turn for that 3 Vanguard swing?
3.
Total. But total.
Yeah.
Yeah, roughly around that.
It's discard 3 for the end.
and that goes off no matter what. No reride, no having to have a copy or anything like that. And then you have Riviere, which is you need that copy, but it's also a on-place force marker +2, and then can attack again. So it's pretty tricky. I do think that Riviere could possibly have its original skill back and not be as dangerous as it was. I think I have to agree with Deacon on that one. It just kind of depends on if they would spam Force 1 markers or Force 2 markers, and I believe it would be Force 1 markers back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, Force 1, they generate really big numbers, what I remember.
No, it more often than not, it was going for Force 2.
Okay. So it would just have that constant crit pressure.
Yeah, this is not the Melody variant. This is the Riviere. Riviere was the second variation that just came for Bermuda that came out.
You're right.
Yeah,
it was Force
really
2.
out over the winter. Yeah.
But that would immediately give your front row triple crit. Immediately, just for the Superior Ride. You multi-attack hard. The good thing that it would actually lose its drives, unlike the end or the cross. The cross can actually keep one drive depending on your opponent's grade. But they play very similarly. In my opinion, though, I do think that maybe it could possibly come back. I think that it may possibly be a bad choice because of how it played back then and how it could play against all this stuff now. But eventually it will be crept out, and it would, I believe, stand evenly against these newer decks. Not as high up as it did before.
Yeah.
Okay. My thoughts. I'll give my thoughts on the matter. I think this is the first time that I actually disagree with both of you, and I disagree with both of you, and I disagree with both of you because of your talking points that you added for why it should. I think with something like Messiah, you are able to do all of these very intricate, very insane power columns and stuff like that. But you have to have some of your pieces. You have to have some things go correctly in order to have this happen. With the cross, more often than not, the cross you're going to be doing Force 2. You're going to be when you copy the end skill, you have the ability to you're going to discard 3. It's going to gain the 10k power, restand, all this stuff, drive -1. So it's going to swing in with 2 drive checks the first time. The next swing, it's going to be 1 drive check. The next swing after that is, if your opponent's on grade 3, it will be 1 more drive check. If your opponent's on grade 2, it will be 0 drive checks. So you are paying and on the third attack, you are doing Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1 in order to do that swing. So you're possibly doing 3 to 4 drive checks, just depending on kind of the game state. With Riviere, not only are you deck thinning, you're deck thinning a lot. You're drawing into these combo pieces pretty damn easily. But you're generating new Force 2 markers. Bermuda can gain numbers very easily and plus very easily. And that's outside of Riviere. And then if you're able to go into multiple Rivieres, which again isn't very hard, your entire front row will have all of the crits. Riviere will swing with twin drive. Then you'll Superior Ride into another Riviere, you will plus off of that, create another marker, and pay barely any cost in order to superior ride again into another Riviere. And if it's another grade 3, that's 4 drive checks again. And you can just keep going and keep doing this over and over and over again. And there is no restriction on your opponent has to be at grade 3. So for all of those reasons, in my opinion, I think it needs to stay errated.
Yeah, I see that. I see where you're coming from.
I get it, because the deck as a whole is the issue. It's the reason that I wasn't exactly sure though is because the cross also gains its own power just through its ability. You said 10K. So it gains its own power and then can stack the trigger effects onto the Vanguard, thus making the Vanguard more dangerous. With the superior ride, it makes it a little different because you would have to give power to a rear guard in order to actually make use out of the abilities of triggers. But that was the only real huge difference that I saw in the two.
But even then, if you've got a rear guard that gains plus 10K plus something, and you've got a booster behind it and another Force 2 marker stacked on top of it, and you're just passing off trigger effects to it, I just feel like that's just as dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does what every single deck we're seeing now does, is just be able to first turn kill. So I that's why I don't think it's a huge problem. I think it keeps some of those decks in check and also be kept in check itself.
I just think it's too dangerous with not only with Bermuda, how we've seen Bermuda already do. Bermuda's able to call free call cards. They're able to very easily plus cards. They're able to generate numbers very easily, so that's why Force 2 is almost always the option. And then again, it's Riviere being an on-place. Both of its first skill is an on-place skill. So not again, you're riding into it, creating another Force 2 marker, and then you are discarding 1 card to plus 2 cards. So you're deck thinning in order to get the cards that you need in order to keep this thing going over and over and over again.
Right.
And I think that's my main problem with it. So not only can they could rush you pretty easily, and then they could plus pretty hard. Remember, there's a lot of turns on those grade 2 turns. Not only would they have a mostly full board, but then they would end their turn with anywhere from 10 to 15 cards in hand. And that's on a grade 2 turn.
Yeah.
That's not on the grade 3 turn where they're able to get the twin drive and get the additional plus 2 cards.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel it's too dangerous to bring back.
I definitely see your point.
Yeah. I'm still standing on. I think it should come back as a check for that, unless if they do have planned more Bermuda support. That's where I would say it's fine where it's at, because then they'll bring back. It'll be a grade 3. It'll be Riviere to second. But
I just kind of remain iffy based on hearing both of your arguments and having my own, obviously. And like I said, it's very tricky because it's very similar playstyles to even just the cross. So it's just hard to know what to say without having tested such a thing.
yeah, because that's the only thing I have the difference is because I know it has a plussing on that grade 2 turn. Plays against the cross and the cross goes first, that hand will be dwindled down. So I feel like that kind of puts a buffer on that, and with how Bermuda has to play, there will be a lot of grade 3s up until they can filter through their hand. But I mean, you have All Mile now that has an insane grade 2 game, and if it goes off, it straight up murder someone. But I mean, the Silverdust set comes out, and it's kind of just there now, and it was put in check by all those other decks. So I don't know. I think it's a weird situation that it should come back if they don't have more Bermuda support planned. But that's my last thing on it.
They definitely will. But yeah, that's it from us guys for this Crimson debate. I'd like to thank Zach for being here. I'd like to thank Dekin for being here. And then please let us know in the comment section what you think. Should some of these cards come off of the ban list, restricted list? Should Riviere get the errata taken away? And again, keep in mind, we are talking about the Silverdust Blaze meta, post Silverdust Blaze meta. So let us know. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you agree with us, you disagree with us. Just like to hear from you. So that's it from us for this Crimson debate. We will be back at you later with even more. That's it for us. Bye.